I'm revealing my entire Ordinals portfolio, including tokens, JPEX, and all the stuff that I believe will make a perfect 2024 Ordinals portfolio. Plus, I'm adding a couple of secret things that are not Ordinals related, but I think they have great potential. Let's jump right into it. The way we're gonna do it is first I'm gonna show you all of my JPEGs, then we're gonna look into the tokens, and then we're gonna build the portfolio. So the very first one, and one of my biggest holdings until recently, is Bitcoin Frogs. This is, I believe, the blue chip collection of Ordinals. It has one of the most volumes. I have a bunch of those frogs that I accumulated. I already talked about them in another video. I already sold quite a few of them. So let me just show you the chart. It was getting really parabolic here. And I sold my first frog somewhere around here, around 0.26 Bitcoin. And then I sold a couple more here around 0.45, 46, something like this Bitcoin. And that's actually brings me to a very important point before we continue with the review of the portfolio. Keep in mind that currently the value of my portfolio is around 200K. However, this is fluctuating a lot. And I expect this to go down to 100K or below in the future. At some point, this was close to 300K a few weeks ago. These frogs are already down almost 50%. I have already locked in some gains. And also keep in mind that my entire portfolio right now is risk-free because I've taken profit, I've taken my cost basis out already, so I can sleep, very calm at night, whatever happens to this portfolio. And keep in mind, I do think there's a high potential for this to even 5 or 10x from here because of the volumes that I'm expecting to come in a potential bull run. But I also think now it's maybe not the best time to go all into Ordinals, but you can line up whatever you're looking into and just track the price and find good entry. So Bitcoin Frogs, definitely if you buy just one collection and if you have the money for it, that is the one for me. I am planning to reaccumulate if we get back somewhere in this area. So anything around 0.1 Bitcoin for me, it's a big buy for Bitcoin Frogs. And I think these will do very well in the future. And actually the chat that they have and the alpha and everything, it's a pretty cool community. You might ask, why didn't I sell all of the other frogs that I have here at the top when, I kind of knew it was going to be a top? Well, there are very many reasons for this actually. First of all, we never know where the top will be. And second, and I think most important, I'm getting a bunch of airdrops and a bunch of information from the Bitcoin Frogs. So just keep this in mind. A lot of the tokens and projects that I hold in my portfolio currently is because they are bringing me additional value. And I think this value will accumulate with time and will overcompensate for the losses that I might be sustaining in the short term, because I do believe Bitcoin Frogs will potentially get to a BTC or something like this. So let's get back to the list. And the next one that I still don't have enough of, but I think definitely you should have exposure, is Bitmaps. This collection has gone wild. These were free mints. I minted about 20 or 30 of them. Only 23 were valid, so I still hold all of my Bitmaps. But you can see here on the chart, these pretty much went from 20 to 30 bucks to about 300 bucks here at the top. And now, we are seeing a normal correction. And I think a lot of people, including myself, underestimated the entire power of Bitmaps, but everybody's talking about this collection. I do want to have more exposure. If we get a nice juicy correction, I will be loading up on Bitmaps. And I think this is the no-brainer, just like the frogs that we discussed already, but this one is cheaper. So currently it's around 220 bucks. So again, I don't think it's a great entry, but accumulating this and the potentials that they hold, like with airdrops already that we're seeing, with all kinds of shit and just purely on speculation, I think this collection will do extremely well. And keep in mind, it's been constantly on the top when it comes to volume together with Bitcoin Frogs. I don't own Node Monkeys. It's a whole different video probably that I need to make about them. But as you can see, they're also doing very well. So maybe potentially if they drop, maybe I might be adding this into my 2024 portfolio. The next one that I own is Ordinals Maxibus. Again, I believe this one is a blue chip collection. My entry is around 0.3. So currently still a bit in profit, but since I hold just one, I didn't pull the trigger on another one when I was looking at it somewhere around here, accumulation. But you know, hey, we cannot all get the winners at the same time. But this one has been underperforming, honestly. I don't know what's the reason. Maybe it's because of the type they communicate. It's been a little bit weird, but the collection actually, I think, is losing some steam. So I really want to see what's going to happen in the future. But I do hold one, and I'm planning to hold it long term. I think the potential here could be way over Bitcoin. I think these could be the punks of the ordinal space, and I obviously could be wrong, so don't take my word for it, but definitely has place in my portfolio currently. The next one I have is Ordinals, another one that is quite interesting. I just have one, so as a value, it's not very significant, this one. I bought it quite low just before, you know, we had this massive run up, so somewhere around here. I'm not sure if I want to accumulate more yet. I just want to see them, how they will behave in a bear market, and if their chat is going to be good enough, because all of these, keep in mind, they don't have any utility. You know, these are just JPEGs, and you know, don't expect them to have any kind of utilities. And this is quite an ugly JPEG if you ask me, but people like them, and the community for now is looking quite decent, I would say. Another major percentage-wise collection in my portfolio is the so-called Casas Control. This one is probably the worst decision I've made in my Ordinals trading career, because these launched at, what was it, 0.17 Bitcoin, something like this was the mint price, and I didn't have a whitelist, and I still minted on public one of these, and I have another one, and honestly, that was a huge mistake. First of all, because of the commitment of amount of Bitcoin that one just costed just to mint. Second of all, there was a bunch of FUD surrounding this collection when it launched. And since then, it's been just really underperforming. There's no volume. You know, it's been just constantly going down. The community is okay. You know, they're trying to do some stuff. They're really great at it, honestly, right now. So I'm still waiting my physical item that I hold that they supposedly sent, but I still haven't received it. So the reason that I'm holding this is, first of all, it's almost impossible to sell it. But then these are all on uncommon sats. And I think potentially if we get like a rare sat meta that plays out, these could hold value at some point. Or maybe they decide to do like a PFP collection or something. You know, there's a lot of ways that they can develop. So I'm holding. I have to hold in a way, but again, I do believe at some point these guys will do something, and potentially I would at least return my investment. So I wouldn't recommend this for anyone right now, but yeah, just keep this in mind. It's part of my portfolio. And then I have quite a few collections. They're cheap. One of them that I just recently added is called Bitblocks, and I honestly quite like this one. The art is whatever, you know, it's abstract. I would call it, you know, amazing. But the whole concept of this is pretty cool. Like, what they did is pretty much they said post a link of your favorite Ordinals JPEG or just inscription in general, and they used some kind of a generator to come up with this kind of image. So kind of unique. It's a 10K collection. Not all of them are indexed from what I see here on the total supply. It's been quite good volume. Together with the fees, my entry is currently at around break even. And as you can see, price action has been stable. It's not terrible. You know, we've had kind of a run and now a retracement. So if node monkeys let go and they don't suck out all of the volume right now from Ordinals, I think these could have a run in the long term. And I honestly want to hold these. I have like 4 of them, I think, if I remember correctly, and I want to hold these. So we'll see what's going to happen. It's not really expensive right now also to own them. Maybe if we get like a bear market, they will be much cheaper, and I'm okay with holding through this. So I think, again, this is a low volume sort of, you know, because they have recent volume but not great volume. And it's going under the radar right now, but I think it's a collection worth mentioning. Another one that I'm big on are the whales, Bitcoin whales. These guys are, you know, pretty much something like Bitcoin Rocks, but not really at their level. I think they're going to launch a collection. I do like the art, it's unique. Currently it's quite cheap, and actually the price has been getting hammered in the past few days. Yeah, you can see this chart is not looking great, but I accumulated them here low. I sold one here at the top around 0.9 or something. Probably should have sold more, but this was just the beginning of the run. And dollar value wise, it's not, you know, crazy numbers. So my goal for these are to maybe accumulate a little bit more, and then get access to airdrops, you know, if they do another collection, potentially whitelist spots and stuff like this, and just keep this as a moonshot, because my cost is, I don't know, less than $1,000 for all the whales that I'm holding. And you know, my goal here is not to make like $500 with them. You know, that's not the business that I'm in. So long term, I think these could also do well, and whale. Yeah, these could do well. And you can see that they've shown signs of strength. So hopefully we can see them with another push. Bitcoin Cups is another bear cups actually. Let me just bear cups. This is another one that I hold a few of. They've been not doing much, pretty much, but as you can see, again, price action has been going up. So nothing parabolic, nothing crazy. They're pretty much an OG collection, quite early inscriptions, as you can see here, relatively early, you know, but below 1 million. And they have a bigger, actually a more expensive collection, which is just the Bitcoin Bears. So this is like the secondary collection, which is a 10K supply. I just wanted to have some exposure to these. Again, nothing crazy when we talk about numbers, but very similar play to what I'm expecting from the whales. The last couple of JPEGs that I'm holding currently are the so-called MPCs. This is a really small and cheap collection, so it's again same principle, just really waiting for a moonshot here. You can see that has been some volume in the past, but right now really not that much volume on this collection, but it's been steadily moving. I haven't sold any. I don't even remember how much I hold of this. They were really, really cheap. They were like $20 or so to acquire. Currently it's sitting at $36. So wow, amazing stuff, you know, I know. But if these get around, you know, 10-20x with a decent enough amount of JPEGs that, you know, you can hold, I think again, these could be quite good. But keep in mind, like these really cheap collections, when it gets to acquiring them, you need to factor in the costs of acquiring, and currently gas is quite high, so you are looking at something of additional $20 or so to buy this. So just keep this in mind, and that's why I'm kind of excited if we get a bear market to accumulate these really, really cheap collections and then potentially sell them much higher, because people don't really think about this, but the fees are getting really expensive, and I probably need to do an additional video about explaining these little details that people don't really understand about their JPEGs. And then something else that I'm interested is Nish. Currently I just hold one of this ACSM. I just bought it because it was really cheap and I wanted some Nish exposure. It's currently sitting in good profit, but generally speaking, in January he'll probably be doing something, at least he has hinted. And I do hold a few of his Ethereum collections as a speculation bet. So potentially long term, everything Nish pretty much pumps as we see him do something like this. Is another collection that he has. You know, you need to be keeping track of what he does. As you can see, also quite good price action, still relatively high, and these will pump a lot when he announces something like an airdrop or whatever. But it's a news-driven event, so I don't really want to accumulate these higher prices. Honestly, I'm a bit salty that I knew this will happen and I didn't accumulate Nish, but hey, I was, you know, overexposed to other stuff like Bitcoin Folks and some of the tokens we're going to discuss here. So yeah, this is pretty much the parts of the JPEG. So now let's jump into the token side, and I need to start with my biggest holding pretty much. This is GIP. Very, very fun story with this one. This is a tap token, so it's from the Track ecosystem. And this was like a meme for months on end. It didn't mint out. Nobody, you know, cared about this token. And then some people, as always happens, found it interesting. The Bitcoin Frost community went nuts because GIP is like a meme for Pepe the Frog and so on. So people started minting it like crazy. It took me a while to understand how to mint it. It was like a really crazy like few hours. I had to go out, but anyway, I managed to mint 500k of this. I still hold the majority. I've sold like probably a bit over 20%, and it costed me like $200 if I remember correctly to mint this, and I've taken out like 0.24 Bitcoin profit. So I've made a lot of money on this already. As you can see here, it's sitting on 0.13 cents per GIP. So still good money to be made even if I sell here the rest of my back. But again, I don't want to be selling this. First of all, it's hard to sell. It's not very liquid, and the cost of inscribing of the transfers, has to be taken in consideration. But I think long term, this is pretty much my moonshot. This is from zero to a few $1 million moonshot, and I want to hold it. And generally, the community of Tap and Track, is building a lot. They're probably going to be doing a lot of airdrops. So again, related to this, I'm sticking to my GIP for now, and see. And this could easily go to zero, or this was selling, and I was selling at around 3 cents. And I was feeling okay, like, oh, I made money because, I got it for free pretty much. And I've sold some at 25 cents. So this was fluctuating a lot, as you can tell. But again, I'm okay with what I've taken as profit. I want to have a big moon back, and I'm keeping it for now. I might be selling some more just in case, but not going to be selling all of my GIP right now because I believe the best is yet to come for this. The next token that I have, and as an allocation is also quite significant, is called Track. Again, this is from Track Network. It's their BRC token, BRC20. In this wallet, I hold around 500 Track, but I have probably over 3,000 or 4,000 overall in my portfolio. Not enough, if you ask me, because my cost basis is like 40 cents. And I knew this is going to do well. I didn't ape into it. I was risk managing, which long term, of course, it serves me well. But in this case, it just makes me have some FOMO. I hope this has a correction, honestly. It's currently sitting at $5. I'm not sure we're going to get it because this is potentially one of the very few BRC20s that is going to have real utility. And maybe I can show you the trading view chart on this one. So it has already pumped quite a bit. I'm sitting on over 10x on my position, and it was even more. But this currently is still around $150 million market cap. And stuff like Ordi, which has absolutely no utility and is listed on Binance already, has like over $1 billion in market cap. So I do believe this could get there, and potentially even, I don't think it's not the best time to be buying it, but just technically, I think, we're at this retracement level. So I personally not going to be buying here, and I don't advise anyone to buy here, but I will be monitoring this closely, and potentially I'll be adding a bit more Track if we get, some kind of a reaccumulation phase and a few months of boring price action. But I don't want to be selling here because, again, just an announcement for listing, or also it has been rumored that there will be an airdrop of Tap tokens to Track holders and potentially maybe even GIP holders. So I want to be holding this because Tap token will be, again, one of those really major airdrops in the space that I think could make a difference. And that's why I don't want to be speculating right now on the price, just because my goal is very long term, and I want to be making sure that I make most of this opportunity. And I said, this is all risk free for me. So that is a major position for me. Another one that I'm holding is OXBT. This token, bittersweet. I should have sold in the beginning because I don't think we have a price chart here. I'm not going to look for it. But this at the launch, this was trading for 30 or 40 cents. And at that time, I had like 15,000 maybe of these. So quite a significant back, like over $4,000. I have accumulated a bit more at the low. So currently I'm sitting at around 30,000 if I'm not mistaken on OXBT. I sold some here around 8 cents. So again, my cost basis is completely out, although it's relatively low. And I'm just gonna wait and see. This project was owned by Bitgoat, one of the biggest influencers in the space. However, he gave it out to the community. I don't think they're doing anything. They try to have some utility. Honestly, I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's a free ride for me, and I'm just gonna watch and see if they actually build something on this one. And I think there's potential for this to have some returns here. And if we get, you know, a nice Uniswap, for example, Unisat is working on a marketplace where you can swap similar to Uniswap on Ether. So if we get this is one of the OG tokens. So I'm expecting it to have a bit of a run or so. CONSO is another one that I'm holding. Let me see what's going on with this one because it's an old back. Yeah, I have like several CONSO tokens. They had big promises and stuff, but then the bear market hit them really bad. I'm currently down on my position. I think my cost average is around 280 or something. At some point, these were trading at $400 per one. Now it's at 170. So yeah, I'm underwater on this one. I was thinking honestly to kind of cut this position because there's also not much volume on it. But again, it's not a major size. So for now, I'm just gonna keep it and see how it goes. And there are a bunch of other tokens that I'm holding. But we don't have enough time in this video to talk about them. But for example, I'm holding a future token called NAT. And if you don't know what this is, go check the Block Runner guys. They talk about it. They're in partnership with Benny from Track Network about this. I hold billions of this token. I don't know how much it will be worth. I spent about $1,000 minting them. But in Ordinals in general, and especially in the token side, this is where you get the most returns. You mint something for free like Bitmaps and suddenly you find yourself holding like $10,000 assets or something. So I hope that NAT is big and does something like this because I did invest relatively significant amount when it comes to inscriptions. I do hold some CBRCs, which is another standard, not different to BRCs and TAP tokens and all the others that are in the Track ecosystem. And what else? I'm holding some other inscriptions on some other networks like NEET. This is on Near network. I'm holding some AVAL, which is on AVAX network. What else I'm missing? Pretty much that's it on the token side. So now let's talk about 2024 and what I want to be adding to my portfolio, because I think there's a very easy way to construct your portfolio for 2024 and still make a ton of money. And we're gonna start obviously with the JPEX. And as I've mentioned, for me, Bitcoin Frogs and Bitmaps are the very obvious buys. If you hold any of those in significant amounts, I think you have a really good chance of making money. Obviously, this is a really high investment. I'm not saying go and ape into them, but generally speaking, I do believe long-term, these are very good buys. I faded Node Monkeys, but by the looks of it and the volume and the fact that they're one of the first, if not the first inscription, 10K and the lowest inscription number collection on Bitcoin, I want to see them crash really hard because I'm not going to be buying here after a big run. The chart is not representative, but they already did like a 5 or 6x from mint price. So this one definitely, I'm still interested in it. Ordi Rocks is one on my list if you want to get into cheap. Gusinos is one that's been constantly doing quite well. So again, I missed this one, but something that I will be interested in acquiring if we get a nice real dip. OMB potentially, but this needs to get really cheap for me to consider it, just because what is happening right now, and it's been underperforming the whole bull run that we've had. And then I would also bet on these really cheap collections that I've already mentioned, and I will be adding more to those. So just if you don't have a lot of money, or if you think you're late into Ordinals, just be patient, because I also thought I was late. I bought my first frog, then it collapsed like 50%, then I kept buying, and suddenly I was sitting in a lot of profit on my frogs, and I'm still sitting on a lot of profit. So you just need to be patient, and you just need to pick your poison based on your budgets. So just do this, and I promise you, long term, you could be doing very well. So all the cheap collections we discussed already. I do own a BitApe. I had a few, but I sold them. I'm not sure if this is a great play, honestly, but they did have a run. They have some speculation around them, complex story. But, stuff that are copycats from Ethereum, like Bitcoin Punks, although they've been doing also relatively well. I think long term, these are underperforming assets compared to the OG collections. And then one big one that I would mention is the Taproot Wizards. They haven't launched yet, but probably it will be much bigger than even Node Monkeys, but also quite expensive. So keep this in mind. And then there's a few other niches here that I haven't got into, but as I said, rare sats, keep them in mind. They will be interesting. On the token side, it's pretty wild. You could get very easily overwhelmed with stuff, but BRC is just one part of it. As I said, I want to be accumulating a bit more track, potentially some sats, which I totally missed, and it's still at $1 billion valuation. I already told you what I have. I'm not planning to buy any more, but if I get airdrops for TAP, there's one token that is called Rook, and it's on a completely different system. So CRBC is one system, this is a completely different type of protocol, which is called Rings. The website that you should be looking into is called Saturn BTC. So this is a project that pretty much right now they're selling and buying. It's a marketplace for rare Satoshis. So look into it. They're doing a massive airdrop with a lot of communities. I hope I get a lot of tokens on this one. It could do well long term, especially if this new, because it's going to be the first token, if this new standard Rings takes off. Also, what I'll be looking into is runes. So this is another standard yet and another token on Bitcoin that is going to be built by Casey, the creator of Ordinals in general. So there's a lot of things cooking, a lot of things happening. And the best way to keep in track about all of them is, first of all, stay tuned, because I'm going to be doing a lot more videos. And if you have questions and if you want to see a video about this, just let me know, post in the comments, and it will really help out, of course, the channel, the engagement, and the subscriptions. But just go into the Discord, go into the crypto Twitter stuff, and just be on top of the stuff there. And then I have another 2 things that I want to be adding to my portfolio. One of them is Sol maps. So these are the bitmaps of Sol, and if you've been following, Sol been on fire. There's been really good stuff happening on Sol. So again, these are very interesting to me. I'll be looking to add on them. It's not on Bitcoin, but I want to have some diversification, and I think these will do well as they have launched. They've been doing quite well here, and the price has been quite stable. So I want to be adding some of this, and then another one would be Doji or whatever you call it. This is one of the first DRC tokens, which is on the Dogecoin network, and I don't think Doge has a lot of gas in the tank for a 10x, for example, in the next bull run, but this thing does. And obviously it was at 0.1 cent, so currently sitting at 2.7 cents, quite inflated already at around $50-60 million market cap. But again, this is one that I think in a crazy bull run, we could see some crazy stuff with it, especially if we get a really nice juicy dip. So these are all my things and thoughts for 2024. I'll be allocating probably around 50%. This will be at least 50% of my overall portfolio, the Ordinal stuff and the inscriptions, and it's gonna be a wild year. I can guarantee you this. So just stay tuned, be ready, and do the work. Study, learn, and be ready for this, and to take the opportunity of potentially a lifetime changing gains.